Hello, everyone. You're welcome once again to this wonderful section where we want to look at demand and supply zones, part two. Of course, last week we talked about demand and supply zone, but we just looked at it at to a certain length. And today we want to also do some finishing touch to demand and supply zone. So it's called demand and supply zone part two. And today we will be looking at the different formations, okay? The different basic formations of demand and supply zone, how you can easily identify them, okay? And so we'll be adding more layers to what we have already done last week, okay? And I want you to quickly actually follow us and then stay put and then be very alert to this series we are releasing. And of course, I am no other person but Mr. Chidrak. I am the financial analyst for DB Invest in Nigeria. And we are going to have a real time together in looking at demand and supply zone too. And of course, DB Investing is a financial broker and it's one of the top-notch brokers you can use to actualize your financial dreams. If you are there looking for a platform to use and to trade this financial market, DB Investing is there for you. We are here to help you ensure that you're not missing out and then to help you actualize your dream in your financial trading. Okay, so let's dive down into the demand and supply zones, part two. Here, we want to look at something very basic, like as I've earlier said, that we'll be looking at the basic formation forms. Like we just said that the demand zone is the area where the buyers come into the market. And then the supply zone is the area where the sellers come in or the buyers come in to the market. And I said, I also want to let you understand that regarding to demand and supply zones, last week we looked at invalidation. Okay, a demand zone that is invalidated or that is valid, and a supply zone that has been validated or that is still valid. Not all demand and supply zones are valid. Okay, so last week, maybe today we might just have a little recap of it also while still breaking in the new layer. So we said, yes, we know that there are demand zones, there are supply zones, but not all demand zones are valid demand zones. Some are already invalidated, okay, and not all supply zones are valid supply zones. Some are already invalidated. So we want to look at, first of all, the basic forms, and then just as we are seeing, okay, right away, and then we'll now go to the chart to see how to identify these basic forms. Now, basically speaking, there are different ways of formations of this demand and supply zone. For instance, basically, we have different forms of demand and supply zones, how you can identify it. So we have the drop, base, rally. Now, what that means is that don't allow the name confuse you. Is very simple. We just brought all of these just to simplify things, okay? Just to simplify things, okay? So it's not really a big deal, but just understand. Well, when we talk about the drop base rally, we are talking about, if you watch, is that there's a turning point here. We had the market after coming to that point, it actually reversed. So on a common balance scale, or looking at it as on a layman's understanding, we can say, okay, the market was coming for itself. Is that okay? And at a certain point, it hits a support level. That, and they begin to do what? begin to rally upward. Is that okay? Mind you, previously we have dealt with candlestick patterns because definitely when the market comes to, let's say, a support level, okay, and then we begin to look for candlestick patterns, either a bullish engulfing, okay, either a morning star, right, or whether a tweezer bottom, all right, any of the candlestick reversal, sorry, candlestick patterns, okay, reversal patterns that you can look at, okay, and then we push on. So now, but in under demand and supply zones, okay, the trading, we don't look at, we look at it. This is a rally, sorry, drop, base, rally. Okay, so we are trying to talk about a scenario where the market is coming down for a sell and then hits a support. Okay, sorry. Now, a support can become a resistance and a resistance can become a support, depending on how you're looking at it. Okay, so it's coming down, it hits a support, and then it pushes upward. Okay, so that point here becomes a base point from which the market took up for a buy. So such kind of a pattern is called the drop base rally. So it's a demand formation. Okay, that's what we're talking about. So please understand it. I will come back again to it. By that I mean the market is dropping for a sell, getting to a support level. It forms a candlestick reversal pattern and then rallied upward. So in that kind of a case, a formation is made. And that kind of a formation is what we call the drop base rally formation. And that is a demand zone formation. Okay? Now, there is another kind of a demand zone formation again. All right? Which is this. Here, the market is dropping for a sell. And then suddenly it started kind of ranging, giving us a base point. Okay? And then there's a breakout here, continued the drop. Okay, sorry, that's the supply zone, sorry. That's a supply zone. All right. So now we have, first of all, we're dealing with the demand zone, so them they'll confuse issues. Sorry about that. We'll come to that. So here, drop base rally. Then the other demand zone formation is rally base rally. That is what I'm trying to explain. I was explaining a drop base drop. Okay, so in the case of rally base rally, is that the market is rising. Is that okay? At a certain point, it started ranging sideways, giving us a base point. Okay, and then there's a breakout, and it then continues the rally. Okay, this is another demand zone formation. We are going to try to identify these patterns in the chart. Now, mind you, we are already aware about invalidations. Okay, yes, invalidation that, okay, to know a demand zone or a supply zone that is no longer valid. But now, to that invalidation concept, we are going to now add this, the formations. So that when you look at the chart, you can say, okay, this is rally-based rally. Okay, so this is demand zone or this is supply zone. Okay, that's the formation. Is that okay? And then we can look at it from that end and we push on. And then with that, you can easily identify the different components and then know that, okay, this is a supply zone, this is a demand zone, and this is what is going on. So the other demand zone we are looking at is, this is a rally, this is a base point or a takeoff point for a continuation. And then it breaks out and then it continues. Then the other one we are looking at here is a case of a drop and then a base point, which is like a support level. Is that okay? And then pushes on. If you look at this critically, okay, this is just like the market rallied, come to a resistant level, okay? So it ranged along that resistance level and then broke that resistance level and then continued. That's the case here, the case scenario here. Okay, that's the case scenario here. Is that okay? Now, if we come to the aspect of supply, the same thing. For mind you, for demand is we have drop, base, rally, and rally, base, rally for demand zones. These are the two basic formations for demand zones. We have what? The drop, base, rally. Two, we also have the rally, base, rally. Then for supply zones, basic formations, we have the rally, base, drop. That is, we are looking at a case scenario where the market pushes up and on getting to a certain resistance point, okay, it began to drop. Of course, we got our reversal pattern, candlestick reversal pattern, whatever it is. And then at this particular point, so here is a resistance level. The market could not break. It pushes on, it rallied, come to this point, okay? And then sometimes can just have a sharp drop, okay? It dropped. So this is how supply zones are formed. Then another, so what we are trying to do, we are just trying to tell you how to identify these zones, because sometimes, like now, like last week's study, when we look at it, we talk about, okay, this is a supply zone, this is not yet broken, okay, we can identify to the help of invalidation point. If you understand the concept of invalidation, sorry, validation and invalidation, okay, you can identify, but this can also help you to identify. So you just look at the chart, okay, it rallied here, it hovered around here, and it dropped. So definitely this is a supply zone, okay? So once you have identified the supply zone, then you can now check if that supply zone is still valid or not valid. Is that okay? All right. So these are the things. So that's why I said today we are going to be adding more layers to what we have studied last week. All right. Now, so like as we were saying, this is a supply formation. So we have rally. Then it comes here. This is a base point. Okay. And then, but this is a sharp base point, turning point. Okay. And then it drops. So that's one. Then the second supply zone formation is a case where we have a drop, is coming downwards, selling. Okay. And then all of a sudden, there is a base point, it ranged. In other words, it came in contact with a support level. Okay. So it ranged for a while. Okay. And then it broke that particular level and then continued. All right. So that is, so we know that, okay, this point is a base point. So this is supply zone formation. Okay. This is the supply zone formation. So that's it. So now this particular point now becomes another zone. Okay, this is coming and this is it, and then it drops again. So that is a zone. So the major point is, if you look at these basic formations, is identifying the base points. Okay, the takeoff point, because the base point is actually the takeoff point. That's where our area of concentration is. Okay, the takeoff point. So we look at it. There's the base point. So let's just take a recap for the demand zone. One, we have the drop base, which is the turning point, rally. Is that okay? We come to this other formation. We have the rally base, which is the takeoff point. Okay, the base point, and then which is on rally. So these are the two basic demand zone formations. Then we come to the supply zone formation. We have the rally base point, okay, drop. And they also have the drop base, okay, drop. Is that okay? So these are the basic demand and supply zone formations. But it is not enough to look at it, in a pictorial view, because to identify them in the chart, that is where your skill and dexterity comes into play. How do you identify? So when you look at the chart and you see this thing, okay, Can you see this thing so accurately, easily with your eyes? Is that okay? So on that basis, let's now push on to the chart to see how to identify this point. Is that okay? Yeah, so see how to identify this point. All right. So let's go. So I want to see how to identify this point. So let me quickly. Okay, so let's see how to identify this point. Now, first of all, we want to look at the case for demand zone formation. We want to look at the different formation. First of all, for the demand zone formation, we have the drop base rally. Okay, let me bring up my tools. Okay, so we have the drop. The first case is the drop base rally. You understand? So that's the first. So how do we identify that? So we look at the chart. Where do we see the drop base rally? Okay. Now you can see it everywhere in the chart. Like look at this one. There's a drop here, right? The market drops. There's a base point here. Is that okay? And then there's a rally point here. Is that correct? Very easy to identify, right? Again, there's a drop base market playing for itself. Base, what? Rally. See how we identify it easy. Is that okay? Very simple. Again, drop, base, what? Rally. Okay, these are demand zones formation. Again, drop, base, rally. Very easy. Very easy. Okay, you can see the identification because the major issue with people is your ability to identify these points, okay, these zones, and so that is just it. So that is it. So you can see that. So that's that about the first formation, which is the demand zone formation, drop, base, rally. So now you now know that all of these points are demand zones, okay, formation. These are demand zones formation. So now with the study we have done last week, you can now check, are these, there are more of them, right? We can still identify more. You will now check, are these zones valid zones or they are already being validated? Like now, if you are just starting from here, and okay, let's say this one is valid. Okay, this is valid. Okay, for this particular point, all of this one are being validated by this one. So this is still valid. This is still valid. Okay, yeah, this is still valid. All right. And all of these ones have been validated, but this one is still also valid. So this is still valid, this is still valid, this is valid, and this is also valid. Okay, you can go back to our YouTube page if you're subscribed with us, DB Investing. You can go to YouTube, check that for DB Investing, subscribe. You can check, see all the lecture for last week where we talk about invalidation. Okay, yeah, and valid and non invalid demand or supply zone. So that is it. So you can see the basic formation. Okay, so that's that for the drop base rally, which is demand zone formation. We are looking at demands. All right. The other formation is for the demand zone, that we're going to look at if we check out our stuff here, is this one. Okay, which is the rally, right? Base rally. Okay, so now let's come back to the chart and then see that. Now, so rally based rally. So how do we do that? So how do we identify that? All right, so let's see. So we are talking about rally, the market move up, have a base point, continue the movement. Is that okay? Very simple. So what do we do here? You can see it here. There is a rally, a base point, and a continuation rally. There is rally, base, rally. So here is our base point. All right. Here's our base point. Is that okay? All right. So let's go again. If you can identify another rally base rally. Okay, you have it here again. Rally. There's a base point. And then rally. Is that okay? Very easy. Very easy. Okay. So we push on in the direction. So that's about rally based rally. All right. So if you look at it clearly, you will see that it's quite easy to identify this stuff. Quite easy to identify this stuff. Quite very easy to identify this stuff. Is that okay? Yeah, quite very easy. If you see, I think we have another one here again. Okay. Okay, this is rally. Base. Okay, this is the base point. And what? Rally. Is that okay? But like as I've earlier said, that once you've identified it, you can now begin to look at, is that demand zone, okay, or that supply zone value? Because the major point is the base point you are trying to catch, okay? That base point is what you are trying to look at, because when you are also drawing your zone, your zoning is the base point you take as your zoning. Is that okay? Yes, it's the base point, right? Yeah, so those base points is where we can zone. Like what I mean by zoning is that let's say you take your, what's it called? Um your whatever this and like the way I place this one here. I can say, okay, this is my zone, demand zone, whatever it is. All right. And then maybe place a rectangular bar around it and come here, place another rectangular bar around it here. Okay. Okay, when I'm doing my zoning. So that it is the base points we zone. Is that okay? Yeah, it's the base points we zone. So that is that. Now, so that is that about the basic formations for what's it called, for demand zones. Is that okay? Yes, for demand zones. Now, without wasting much time, because I don't want our lecture to go beyond 1 hour. I prefer it is even if it is less than 1 hour, so that it's you will not because the longer it's good, like some lectures are a bit brief, so that the your interest will not die out, right? Okay, so now the next one we want to look at is the case of supply zone formation. So we have the rally, base, drop. Okay. Yes. Rally, base, drop. So how do we, you see, with what we have done so far, you can easily identify them. Let's look at it. Example, rally, rallied up. That's the base point here. Okay. And then it dropped. Okay. Again, we have this rally. That's the base point here. It dropped. Okay. That's that I'm talking about, to identify supply zones. Let's look at this. Rally, a base point here, and then it dropping. So that's a rally base drop. Okay. Rally, base point, and then it drop. At that base point, it could be a cluster of candles. Okay. Or it could be just a bullish engulfing candle. It could be a shooting star. Okay. Right. Any of the candlestick for a reversal pattern. Is that okay? That is it. So it can constitute the base point. It can be a cluster of candles. It can just be a bullish or a bearish engulfing, sorry, a bearish engulfing candle, because we're talking about supply zone right now. A bearish engulfing candle. It can be a shooting star. Okay, it can be a evening star. All right. whatever it is, one of the reversal patterns. Is that okay? So like here again, we have the rally, rally, base, and then what? Drop. Do you understand that? All right, so we have that. Rally base drop. So you can see that these are supply zones. That's what I'm saying. All right. This is also another supply zone. This is also another what? Supply zone. So you can see that it's easy to identify the supply zone. And these supply zones are valid supply zones because they have not been broken. This one is still valid. This other supply zone is still valid. And this other supply zone is still valid. Is that okay? So you can see that based on the formation, it is very easy to identify the supply zone. Is that okay? Very easy, very easy. Okay, because now you now understand the demand and supply zone formation, how it is formed. So it is quite very easy to identify it. Okay, that this is a supply zone, right? Okay, this is a supply zone, or this is a supply zone, right? Okay, why is it a supply zone? We have the supply zone formation. That what? Rally based drop. Okay, yeah, it's a rally based drop. Okay, yeah, rally based drop. Okay, so these are supply zones. Very easy. Okay, so you identify it. All right. So now it is after you have identified it, you can now begin to talk about it. But this supply zone, is it a valid one? Okay. Has it been invalidated? Or is it still valid? Like these ones, they have not been validated, so they're still valid supply zones. Is that okay? All right. So that's it. So we push on in that regard. We just go on. Now, so we've done the case of what? The rally base drop. So now let's look at the next one we want to check out, which is that to do with the for the case of the demand zone, we saw for demand zone rally based rally. Okay. Now the second formation for supply zone is what? Drop based drop. Is that okay? Yeah, drop based drop. So now let's see how we can look at that. The drop based drop. How do we identify that case scenario? So let's look for it. Drop, base, drop. All right. So let's see. Let's see drop, base, drop. And then we can tell. I just want to bring a very simple one that is quite very simple. Let's look at this. Drop, base, drop. Okay, so you have this is a drop. There's a base point here, form of a rectangular horizontal channel. Sorry for my drawing. Let me just delete this. So we have, there's a drop. Then there's a base point. And then what? A drop. Is that okay? So that's that about the drop base drop. If you watch this carefully, it's quite easy to identify it. It's quite easy, but sometimes, you need to do a little practicing for you to know how to easily identify them. Is that okay? Yeah, you know how to easily identify them. Is that so? Let's just see. Okay, so let me just change. Look at another time frame. Let's see. Let's say 60 minutes. That's 1 hour. And then let's see. Okay, so this 1 hour. So let's see that. Right. So we can see probably enough of those patterns at lower time frame. Right. So we like here identify another one. So drop base. drop. Okay, goes on that way. So let's just identify more of it. You will see those patterns more in a selling market, right? Yeah, in a selling market, that's where you see more of those patterns. Okay, but if it's the market is rising, the market is going upward, you will see more of rally-based rally. Okay, that is for the demand. Okay, so that's it. You see more of rally-based rally. Okay, so you can see that we are seeing more of rally-based rally in these structures than base and drop-based drop. Okay, yeah, so because gold overall in the overall direction has been buying for quite a while. So you will see more about rally-based rally rather than drop-based drop. Okay, yeah, but other basic formations are there. So okay, let's see here. Okay, this rally-based rally. Okay, see, so see more rally-based rally rather than so can check other assets. Okay, let's just check other asset. Let's say let's check maybe GBP USD or no. Let's look at Euro USD. But if I check GU, GUs almost have the same sometimes some same structure with US Euro USD. Sorry, gold. So let's look at Euro USD. Oh, so like Euro USD. All right. So let's see. Let's think of this. $240. So I don't want to tamper with a particular structure. So let's see. Let's look at Euro USD Rwanda. I don't want to tamper with any structure. So let's look at this. Okay. Now, okay. You can see it now. It's very clear, right? Okay. So we have it in Euro USD. After that, we can conclude. So we have it in Euro USD. You can see drop base what? Drop. Very clean. Very clear. Okay. Very easy. That's okay. We have the drop base and see. And the what? Drop. Perfect. Can you see that? The supply formation, supply zone formation. So like I earlier said, our major area of interest is the base point. Okay? Yeah, the base point. That's it. That's it. Okay, so that's it. You can see that it has been on the buy formation for quite a while. Okay? Now, this is why we begin to have the sell. That's why I said you'll see this formation basically on a sell trend, okay, on a sell formation. Okay, that's why you see it. Because if you look at this point now, there you see more is rally-based rally, okay, more of demand zone formations. But here, you begin to see supply zone formation. So this is it. So this is a very perfect example, okay, a very perfect example. So this rally base, what? Sorry, and drop base drop. Is that okay? Yeah, drop, the base point, and then drop. Okay, so from this, we've been able to look at the demand zone in terms of the validation. Okay, how to check if a particular zone is valid or not valid from our last week's study. And today we have now looked into how to identify them, okay, based on their name or their formations. Okay, so if taking a recap, we're saying that you go back to this, that for demand zone formations or at their form, that we have the case of the drop-based rally, okay, which is this drop-based rally, and then we also have the case of the rally-based rally. When we talk about the base, you understand what the base actually means. And then for supply zone formations, we have what is known as the rally-based drop, and then we also have what's known as the drop-based drop, which is the two major supply zone formations. Okay, so with these, you can easily identify a demand zone, a supply zone, and if a supply zone or a demand zone is still valid or not valid from this lecture. And again, if you take a recap of last week's study, I also say that if you doing a demand and supply zone trading, after you have mapped out your zones, okay, that to take a trade or to run a trade, don't always look at when the 200 moving average, if a zone is below a 200 moving average and the market comes to hit that zone, please take this instruction very seriously. If a zone is below a 200 moving average and the market comes to hit that zone, there is a likelihood that that market may reverse. And just giving you a very strong confluences that you can use. Then if a zone is above the 200 moving average and the market comes to hit that zone or to test on that zone, there is that likelihood that that market will what? Reverse back upside. Okay? Take note of this. It's a key thing I'm telling you. All right? So that is that for today's lecture. So thank you so very much for joining us for this wonderful lecture today. And I wish you a wonderful trading experience as you explore with DB Investing. Thank you so very much and bye.